you have to bear with me while I'm sharing this. I want to make sure everybody gets okay. All the sharing's done. And that's that there. Welcome to the end of the original 1960 season. When we started this in the beginning of November, there were 4 of us. The goal was to do 4 teams, Packers, Bills, Steelers, and Giants, and do a full season. It ended up not working out that way. We had one guy that couldn't even join the league right away. We had another that just getting back into playing Madden and didn't feel comfortable playing with these rosters. He wanted to play with the rosters he knows. And I thought he did a good enough job. He was the Steelers. And I thought he did a good job. He won the 2 games he did play. And then in the AFC title, he gave me a run for my money. Concerning these roster sets, I'll have an announcement at halftime. Here come the Green Bay Packers. Now, I'm not going to do the play-by-play like I do with the alternate Super Bowl. A couple other announcements. I'm going to get back into doing some of my own stuff, maybe a little later tonight. Don't know yet. The current Custom Bowl playoffs series that we're doing is going to be the last one that I'm involved in, at least as an active player. I might run a couple playoffs, but it's not been a very exciting experience for me. It's hard to coordinate 12 guys you don't know. Yeah, it's just time to move on and do stuff with guys I know in a more relaxed situation. The Bush League that I was in before, I was shown a couple games last year. That was fun and all. There's Ray Nitschke, but it's frustrating when it's a competitive league and you're not competitive. So I'm more into making the YouTube videos right now. So because I control both teams, technically, even though I didn't actually ever play with the Packers, I am going to simulate this game. We're going to watch it, but the whole reason behind this game is more for the announcement at halftime, and then we'll spend the second half talking about it. Now, I did invite John M. and Phantom Fighter to join us. Whether they do or not, it still remains to be seen. Hold on, I gotta put on the simulation part here. Once it gets through all this. They're gonna assist me in what the announcement is. Though they may even join on the live chat. Still not sure yet. Okay, Super Sim. We want to speed, slow, jump to end of game. This will be the second of 3 different Super Bowl 52s I simulate, or using this. Yesterday was alternate Super Bowl 11. This is 1960. But using this stadium and field and so forth, we're going to do one more on Friday night I'm going to simulate Super Bowl 52 itself, the Philadelphia Eagles and the New England Patriots. EA Sports did their official simulation today, and the Patriots won 24-20. I'll do mine Friday night. There's Bart Starr coming out. No. I thought this was never showed me that. I guess it's because it's a different league. Alright. So the Packers take over. 1st and 10. Oops. There's a give to Paul Hornung. Oh, this makes a spin. And he picks up a significant chunk of yardage. Well, it's kind of the way I went with the NFC title game. When I did control the Packers in that game, and I used a lot of sweeps because that's what the Packers were known for against John M. and his Giants. Oh, Boyd Dowler goes up for the... You know, I've learned a lot researching the 1960 rosters, like Carroll Dale, who you may know from Super Bowl I. Others look at Fuzzy Thurston, Bob Skoronski, Jim Ringo, Jerry Kramer, Forrest Gregg, Paul Hornung and Tom Moore, Gary Neifeld, tight end Max McGee, and Boyd Dowler, receivers. Carroll Dale was with the Los Angeles Rams. Legendary Hall of Famer Jim Marshall. Some may remember as Marshall's running the wrong way, but some may know as a 19-year legend for the Minnesota Vikings. Well, he played his rookie season in Cleveland. Len Dawson was in Cleveland in '60 for the NFL. The Bills' defensive line: Chuck McMurtry, Jim Sorey, Laverne Torsten. Linebackers: Archie Matsos in the middle, Jack Laraway and Joe Schaefer on the outside. The corners are Billy Kennard and Billy Atkins, and your safeties Richie McCabe and Jim Wagstaff. Packers in the shotgun. Now, not a very realistic offense to be run in 1960, but also I don't know if Bart Starr would throw low and he's got no pressure and the guy's wide open. But I just rated these guys the same way I rate the alternate Super Bowls, based on their career and not necessarily their situation in 1960 itself. I'm not a ratings guy. I think the games I've done with the alternate Super Bowls have turned out good. This is going to be Paul Hornung on the kick. 52 yards. Blocked. Recovered. Richie McCabe on the recovery. That was the other thing I don't get. And since I'm not commenting, I want to talk about some of the artwork here. Last night in the alternate Super Bowl, somebody commented on my Facebook post about it that the Steelers had no numbers on their sleeves. And that's absolutely right. No jersey numbers on their sleeves, and I did not understand the art department. Also, you'll notice in some of these throwback helmets, on the back, you can see it there in the kicker, Paul Hornung, there's a hole in the back of his helmet. Just inexplicable. Big black dot. Or splotch. Wilmer Fowler on the run. Johnny Green is the quarterback this time. The Bills used 4 quarterbacks in 1960, including Bob Broadhead, the very first Buffalo Bills overall draft pick and first draft bust, Richie Lucas, and veteran Tommy O'Connell. I went with Green in this situation. No real reason why. He was drafted in '59 by the Steelers. Now the Bills quickly on a 3rd down, not being able to make use of their blocked field goal attempt. Fowler goes in motion, and Green is back to pass. Green's gonna, come on, take off, run, you got the lane, and you run out of bounds. Wow. Buster Ramsey kicking the dirt here at the I don't know, it's 1960, so there's technically no Super Bowl. I don't know where we would be. What is going on with that defender? Billy Atkins, the punter. Now, that's another thing I'd like to discuss, and it's going to be put at the 4, nice punt. You see Billy Atkins there's wearing number 2. You might remember when he was a corner, he was wearing number 20. In 1960, a lot of your punters and kickers also had positions of use. Well, Atkins is a starting corner and the punter. But EA Sports won't let you use one guy to do both positions. So you actually have to create 2 characters. So then I need to give him 2 different jersey numbers. So that's why Billy Atkins is the cornerback, wears number 20, which he actually wore, and the punter wears number 2. That comes up in a couple other situations, like Paul Hornung wore number 5, and as a running back, he wears number 5. Himself as the kicker wears number 1. I try to either give them a number that will look aesthetically as close to what they wore, or a number they might have worn on another team if it was open. Star fakes the handoff. He's going to throw out. McGee is going to make the catch, but it's a diving catch, and he's unable to get the first down. And therefore, Joe Schaefer, number 67, makes the tackle. Now, it's no secret that I'm rooting for the Bills, but now, in order to run the simulation, I had to boot my wife's user out of the league. Otherwise, I would not have been able to change the Packers uniform. And in 60, they didn't have the G on their helmet. That was added in 62. So that's why the coach doesn't look like Vince Lombardi, even though in some of the games he looked, well, I didn't say he looked like Vince Lombardi, but he looked closer than this guy does. Going forward, if we do something like this again, I think I would just create the owner and just deal with the coach looking nothing like. Because I mean, it's too hard to first of all, the EA Sports does not give you what you need to have coaches look like coaches. It's just there's only 3 choices of skin tone. There's 3 choices of face. You can't put him in a suit. Bart Starr's running down the field. Billy Kennard and Joe Schaefer on the tackle. Now the Bills were absolutely dreadful in 1960. They only won. They struggled. They had 4 quarterbacks. They went 5-8-1. They did come on toward the end a little. The Packers themselves were in the NFL Championship game, and in the only playoff game Vince Lombardi would ever lose, they lost the NFL Championship to the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, the same Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl, but they did win 3 NFL titles, 1960 being their last when they beat the Packers 17-13. On the screen pass to Hornung, the Golden Boy. Really fit his career having that nickname. When he played for Notre Dame with the Golden Helmets, won the Heisman. He was a quarterback / running back. And then he goes to Green Bay where they wear yellow. Titletown. In his career, he won NFL championships in 61, 62, 65, 66, and the Super Bowl at the end of the 66 season, although he did not play in the Super Bowl game. Really one of the... there's... In my opinion, there's 3 great injustices when it comes to Super Bowls. And to me, one of them being the Paul Hornung did not get to play in Super Bowl 1, although word is that Lombardi offered to put him in and he declined. Number 2 is that Walter Payton didn't score a touchdown in Super Bowl 20. And the third one really is the way some teams, when they lose the game, are treated. Teams like the Minnesota Vikings, the Denver Broncos in the 80s. The Buffalo Bills get it more so than any because their losses were 4 in a row. Nowadays, in the age of social media and memes, any mistake you make is so magnified. It almost tiresome the way really that the same memes are used over and over. Just insert new name here, insert new team. A team loses, gives up a comeback in a big game, and then all of a sudden there's a meme of these guys standing up in heaven. And it's like a Georgia Bulldog, Golden State Warrior, which makes no sense because they went back and won the title the following year. They won 2 out of 3 actually. An Atlanta Falcon, a Kansas City Chief now. The Jacksonville Jaguar. The Packer recovers the Bart Starr fumble. The Bill that forced it did not even see it sitting on the ground. And that's the end of one with no score. And there's the view of the guy walking backwards. There's several things animation-wise in this that make me laugh. One is that scene of the sideline where you got a guy walking backwards. And the other one is at the beginning with the player introductions. Your right tackle is always doing some weird little dance with his arms. Anyway, back to what I was saying about it, the memes. So, the team gives up a comeback, the Jaguars, for instance, in the AFC title. Well, the meme comes back out with the Jaguars standing at the bottom looking up at all the others who choked. And now if we get in the Super Bowl and if Philadelphia gets an early lead and New England wins, the meme will come out again with the eagle down on the bottom. It's just, it's redundant, and people have no time on, more time in their hands than need be. And more talented, too, than me when it comes to making memes. I feel like this is almost inevitable here with Green Bay going to score. They've made some mistakes on their own, but they are such a better team than Buffalo. There's not one single Hall of Famer on the Buffalo Bills. Not one player rated in the 90s. Whereas the Green Bay Packers have several Hall of Famers. Oh no, I apologize. Richie McCabe was an All-Pro, and so was Archie Matzos and Chuck McMurtry. So that's and Laverne Torson. So 4 All-Pros. So there's 4 guys in the low 90s. Whereas the Green Bay Packers, well, you got Horning, Starr, Taylor, Ringo, Curry, Kramer, Forrester, Henry Jordan, Forrest Gregg, that are either All-Pro or Pro Bowler. Not to mention the Hall of Famers, guys like Starr and Nitschke. And because Nitschke didn't even make All-Pro in '60, but he's Hall of Famer. Paul Horning. And, and then you have guys that should be in there, like Jerry Kramer. The Packers also had a guy like Emlyn Tunnell playing safety who had been with the Giants in the late 50s and gone to several NFL title games with them. Starr, he throws. It's a touchdown to McGee. Well, how fitting. Max McGee caught the first touchdown in Super Bowl history, and here he catches the first touchdown in this Super Bowl. I'd like to welcome in the new viewer. What we're doing, we're simulating. This is the original 1960 season that I tried with just doing 4 teams. We played out the conference championships. It didn't work. Both the owner of the Packers and Steelers just didn't have the time. The guy that was going to run the Packers never even was able to join the league. He's so busy. They're both they have hard jobs. They both have kids, and they just did not have the time to put into the video game. So we simmed forward to the playoffs, and then even then it took several months to even get the conference championship games played, and here we are finally ending this season, ending the Super Bowl that started back in November. If you like what you see, please give the video a like. Make sure you share it, tell your friends. Try to get me some new subscribers. Click the subscribe button. Once you do that, turn on the notifications so you know whenever I'm online. By all means, feel free to comment. Tell me what you like, what you don't like, what I need to improve. Can't say I'll always agree, but that's what I'm here for. I'm here to entertain using video games. Got some other stuff in the works. In about 4 minutes and 42 football seconds, I'm going to make an announcement concerning this very game here. Oh, stuffed up. Did you get the first? I do not believe so. 3rd and inches. On a personal note, some stuff I'll do on my own. I had a set where I was using the 86 rosters and just the Bills. I've deleted that season and I'm going to start it over, but I'm going to expand it. Use the Bills, the Falcons, and the Final Four. The Broncos, the Redskins, the Giants, and the Browns. And just play just an offline season on my own there. Can you hear me, Phantom Fighter? Good, how are you doing? I don't know if your settings are set so everybody else can hear you, but if they can, we got one viewer right now, I believe it's my brother. If they can't hear you, well, they'll hear me talking to myself like normal. And if it is my brother, he's heard me talk to myself plenty of times. Do you have the game on too, or are you watching it? Ooh, a blocked punt. That's probably why. You're probably hearing me talking in your ear and the game as well. I was going to say, try turning the volume off. That might be... So that's the second blocked punt in the Super Bowl, one for each team now. Neither was able to pick it up and score. Number 45, that is Emlyn Tennell. I was just talking about him a few minutes ago. Yep. Bart Starr did throw a touchdown pass to Max McGee on the last drive. This is, for those of you who are going to be watching, Phantom Fighter is the ratings guy. I did the ratings on this particular season, but after that I turned it over to him. He knows more about it than I do. Some of the games, some of the custom bowl games you've probably seen were his work. He also was the originator of the Best Teams 1984 to 2000 roster, which you can download on PlayStation 4. Very good roster set. Oh. Yes, I ran into that with the Falcons. Paul Hornung up the middle. Oh, they're going to call him down. He ran into big number 79. Jim Sorey, the rookie out of Texas Southern. We have an injury. Won't see who, but Paul Hornung scores. In 2 minutes and 10 football seconds, I will be making an announcement that also involves Mr. Fighter here and John M. The kick is up, and the Packers lead 14-0. Very disappointing for yours truly. And you being a Bears fan, probably not liking that either. Well, I didn't expect much. This Bills team is not good. They got really good later in the AFL, toward the middle, 64s. From like 63 to 66, they made the playoffs. And then they got horrible again and ended up being so bad in 68 that they were able to have the number 1 overall draft pick in the first common draft of 69, in which they drafted O.J. Simpson, and what a player he was. He was definitely a killer on the field. And off, allegedly. Although found innocent, so. Actually, it's a technical legal term. I think he was found not guilty, was the actual verdict. So. Oh yeah. The Bears did have a great season in 63 though. Pretty much George Halas came down from the owner's box and said, I'm going to show you how to do it, and he sure did. Two-minute warning. Yep. Nice pass to Chamberlain there. I'm still learning this Bills roster too. This one, Dan Chamberlain, the split end, a little unfamiliar to me. Albert DeBenion, though, he was one of the first stars of the Bills. Let's see if Buffalo can do something before the half. Johnny Green is the first 3 passes of the game, and he's 3 for 3. Why he wasn't throwing earlier is beyond me. Oh, being chased down. Buster Ramsey. He came out of Detroit, I believe. Just giving a chase there, Bill Forrester. And the Bills are going to have to punt. Doesn't matter how many passes you complete if you don't get the first down. Yeah. I think there's a lag from where it actually plays to when it's... Because I've had come across that too watching John M. If we're on a party chat watching him play, he's good 10 seconds ahead of what I see. It does make it kind of hard to do commentary. We tried one time. He tried color commentary, and he was basically watching the live feed, but it was more like a replay to him. He'd hear me call the play, then he'd see it, and he would be able to add his 2 cents in between after that. But, yeah. 57 seconds. Clock is ticking. Bad throw by Starr. Starr is only 5 of 10 in this game. That's not something that the Bart Starr that actually played in a big game would have ever had. Of course, they would have been running a lot more too. Yeah. Adams. Oh, here's the situation. This is what happened. I had to, in order to simulate it and change uniforms, I had to kick my wife's Twisted Phoenix 1983 out of the league. So in order to do that, the Packers then become a computer team, and they go ahead and sign players to fill the roster. Hence, we just saw Bart Starr throw a pass to Devontae Adams. So I've come across that with the alternate Super Bowl a couple times, to the point where I think for next year's alternate Super Bowl, I'm going to create the Raiders as my team, create the Vikings as just a computer team, and simulate with, injuries off, no trades and all that. Then double check them right before the Super Bowl happens and go with that, instead of, because when you control both teams and then take one out of the league, the team is going to go sign other players. Which is going to lend us to a problem with the announcement that I'm about to make, but we'll figure it out. Starr throws it deep. It's caught by Boyd Dowler, and he's going to score, but there's a flag down. And what is it going to be? Roughing the passer. Touchdown, Green Bay. Well, Green Bay is definitely putting this game out of reach. Although if we learned anything from last year's Super Bowl, 20 points is not out of reach. EA Sports, I was telling the viewers earlier, EA Sports did their simulation today. And they have the Patriots winning 24-20. With a... Yeah. I'm going to do my simulation tomorrow, or Friday night. I did my first one last year, and I am 1-0. Unfortunately, the Patriots won it last year, and so they also won the real thing. It makes it easier with this new Madden, though, because you can actually physically jump into the season at its current point. So you don't have to worry about roster edits and injuries and all that. It's already taken care of for you. Buffalo. Yeah, Buffalo just running the clock out. And, well, actually, they run the ball and then they call timeout, so that's dumb. Buster Ramsey? Let me see. Look it up real quick. Not long. Lou Saban came in about, I want to say by 62. Let's see, I just clicked on him. He just ran into somebody. Of course, his football player stats come up. 2 seasons. So yeah, Saban came in by 62. Both teams down to their final timeout, 19 seconds to go before half. And Saban would have 2 different stints with the Bills. One that brought him 2 AFL championships, and then one that would bring him a playoff berth in '74, and of course also develop OJ into the 2,000-yard rusher that he would become. When I played for Lou Saban in 1997 at SUNY Canton, he was definitely eccentric, but the guy knew his stuff. He knew his football, that's for sure. Just gonna hand it off to Horning and run the clock out. Okay, it is halftime. Now, as I've said a couple times, this attempt at the 1960 thing didn't work out, and I had only done 4 teams. Now, over the course of running the Custom Bowl playoffs, I got to know Mr. Phantom Fighter here, a roster guy like myself, but he knows more about ratings, and along with John M., who is, my partner in crime on YouTube. We've decided to make another attempt at it, but this time not just 4 teams. We're doing the whole damn league. Right now I am 70% done editing the Cleveland Browns. When I finish this game, I will go finish that. Over the course of the next few days, I'll have the Philadelphia Eagles, Detroit Lions, Washington Redskins, and Boston Patriots, and the whole league will be done, 21 teams. Now, doing a full franchise like this is a little tough because you still have the Panthers and Texans and Vikings and Bengals and all that in the league to play against. Well, I don't know if you guys can hear Phantom Fighter or not, so I'll just explain what he's done. He went and he down-rated those teams, so they're going to be the worst teams in the league until we get to their expansion years. As the original premise with the original 4 guys that did this, our goal is to play out these seasons with the original rosters, making no changes of our own. Come 61, we'll go through, we'll re-edit the whole league, adding Minnesota, do it again. Now, we wish we could put them in the real divisions and have like the Colts and Steelers be in the NFL and the Browns. We can't, so we got to do with what we got. We got to play with the modern rules, instant replays and all that. But the whole series is going to have the same name. So if you're searching for a YouTube, it is going to be called Sack to the Future. So every game that we play, whether it's the Bills, Mr. Fighter with the Bears, John M with the Giants, or our alternate teams, I will be controlling the Colts from 1960 to 65, and then the Atlanta Falcons starting in 66. Mr. Fighter will have the Denver Broncos. John M will be controlling the Tennessee Titans, although he is going to move them to Houston from 1960 to 2001, and then he'll take over the Houston Texans after that, if we're still alive by that point. So every game will be in a playlist saved on my channel. It'll be called Sack to the Future. The titles will say Sack to the Future. It'll be like Sack to the Future. I think we've actually agreed on that. Maybe like 1960 rosters, week 1, or Buffalo at New York or whatever. In the description, it'll have that. or maybe Sack to the Future, whatever. We'll figure out, because each title won't be just Sack to the Future. It'll be something else. But that is what we're doing. We're going to be kicking it off after the Super Bowl. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you watch and want more. Make sure, if you haven't yet, you subscribe to the channels John M, Phantom Fighter. That's, replace the G with a 6. Twisted Phoenix 1983. Are you using a different YouTube channel for the Denver games, or the same one? So Phantom Fighter, make sure you subscribe to his channel. That's the name of your channel? Okay. Yeah. So make sure you subscribe to that. And I hope you enjoy it. If you're fans of those 6 teams, if you're fans of anybody else, you're going to see the actual, like right now I'm doing the Cleveland Browns. You want to see Jim Brown run? The Colts play the Browns in the first year. Because they played, we got to use the 2017 schedule. The Colts played the Browns in 2017. So, yeah, the Bears do too on Christmas Eve. So you'll see them twice. If you're a fan of the Cowboys, interesting note about the Cowboys, Don Meredith is on the roster, but he's not the starter. I can't think of the starter's name right now. But it'll be interesting to see how the computer handles that. Do they stick with... Plus, we'll have injuries on. So, you know, some things that happen in real life won't happen. Like the Darryl Stingley injury. He will disappear from the league the following season. Just because he wasn't there, but at least he'll get to play out that one season. Same with Jeff Fuller in 89, Mike Utley in 91, Dennis Byrd in 93. You know, the guys that had the career-ending injuries in mid-season, that won't happen. But we will have injuries on, so, you know, nobody gets paralyzed in this game, but luckily, thankfully. But there will be, like, leg injuries, arm injuries, whatever. A situation like this happens, where I was controlling both the Bills and Packers. We have agreed that no matter the situation, we're going to simulate the game. Now, that's where we run into the problem what I had with this one. If we boot our secondary user out of the league so that we can have the roster, the uniforms accurate, the team's going to go ahead and sign people. With the Oilers, I kept the whole roster that they had and just renamed them with draft picks, so he wouldn't necessarily have that problem. But you and I, with the Colts and Broncos, I believe we cut them both off the team, so excuse me, down to the 40 players, not the 53. I think it's a minimum of 45, so there's at least 5 players to get signed. Yeah. No, they signed to fill enough out. I've yet to see them drop anybody. With the Rams last night for the alternate Super Bowl, I knew it was coming because of the previous alternate Super Bowl happened, and I actually had a guy catch a pass that didn't belong in the era. So I went into the Rams roster and renamed those guys so they had actual draft pick names. And it was about 5 guys, but they did not drop anybody. So, yeah. Or going forward, because you know that you're going to control the Bears, at least to get to the simulation point. John's going to control the Giants, I'd control the Bills. We could make sure that the Colts, the Oilers, and the Broncos have the mandatory names, 45 guys, and I'll give them names from the draft that year. The first time with the Colts and Broncos it happens because we went ahead and cut. But I don't actually think you're going to deal with that enough, because Broncos and Bears don't play. Giants and Oilers don't play. So the one I am, because the Colts and Bills play, so I'll make sure that the Colts have the minimum players, so we don't have to worry about that. But that's so we actually, you know what, the Colts haven't changed the uniform. I really don't have to worry about that. I shouldn't have to kick her user out of the league because I don't have to change the uniform at all. That's the one issue, is that you have to change. You can't change a uniform for somebody else being a controlled team, even if you put them on autopilot. With the Colts, I don't have to worry about that. With you, especially that first 36 years, you've got drastic change for the Broncos. John, at least until he can officially move the Oilers, has a drastic change, but neither one of you should have to worry about it in year one, unless you meet in the Super Bowl. And if that happens, if you get both teams in the Super Bowl, great. Good for you. So anyway, that's what we're doing. It's called a Sack to the Future. I hope the people enjoy it and it takes off. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I know for historians of the game. I know a lot of old-timers on Facebook that talk about the games from that era. I don't know if they'd be willing to watch video games, but at least if they are, it might bring back some memories, especially the guys that complain about the current status or nature of football. Oh yeah. Well, there's some video game channels out there, like Sports Gamers Online and another one that have hundreds and hundreds of views per video. I just think we're lacking that one video that's going to go viral, and maybe it's this one that we're doing right now. Who knows? That's going to, pique the interest, catch some of the fans from that other channel. They'll see it in the recommended or whatever, and yeah. Yeah, then go find out that there's a whole series and they can catch up on it. As long as you get all the week one opponents rated, and I think you only got like 2 teams left to do that for. Monday, a week from today. Yeah, so once you do the Rams, all of our week 1 opponents are done. You got all our user control teams done, so we're almost ready to officially go. I'm not going to guarantee you there will be a game played Monday, although I'm off, so I should be at least play one of mine. Our goal is, we're not going to have deadlines. It's not going to be a 48-hour, the league must advance thing. It'll be everybody get their game in, hopefully within a week, 10 days, something like that. Will we ever get up to current day? That'd be nice, but, let's be realistic. All 3 of us have families, and, stuff happens. We are not looking to add other people. So if you're watching and say, oh, I'd like to control the Seahawks, we are not looking to do that. This is just the 3 of us. Unfortunately, these rosters will not be available for download, because they're just logistics that made it too hard. Look at that guy's hair. Just logistics that made it too hard to do it offline for a 1960s set. And there's also some typos. And before you jump on me there's at least 5 at this point, Paul Hornung's gone. I think he's the MVP of the Super Bowl. There are 4 typos that were done on purpose. I'm not going to get into why they were done, but the original name is, according to EA Sports servers, profane. I will let you figure it out on your own when you catch them. In fact, maybe that'll make it a game for yourself to look at the names and see which ones aren't right. There's at least 1 star out of the 5. The other thing, this is going to be family friendly. If any of us swears while talking, is accidental. We will not be discussing politics. We will not be discussing our hatred for the New England Patriots. I'm sorry, that might get brought up. Oh, the extra point was blocked. Oh yeah, well, especially if the Patriots win the Super Bowl again. Which is interesting. Week 1, using the 2017 schedule, Buffalo plays the New York Titans. The Baltimore Colts, playing inside a dome in Indianapolis for some reason, will play the Los Angeles Rams. and Billy Wade is their quarterback, so it'll be John Unitas versus Billy Wade. And now I'm down to no viewers. Huh. I guess they didn't like that. It's a blowout. I don't think it's very accurate that I actually see the amount of viewers. Because sometimes some guy will say, like, you watched the whole game, but I had no viewers, so who knows. Anyway, the Chicago Bears play the Atlanta Falcons, so you're going to be playing against a team that doesn't exist. And the Denver Broncos play the Los Angeles Chargers. John M's teams, the New York Giants, play the Dallas Cowboys right off the bat. And the Houston Oilers play the Oakland Raiders. Now, speaking of the Raiders, the Bills, their uniforms aren't going to be accurate. The 1960 uniforms for those two teams don't exist on the video game. The Bills uniforms look like a Detroit Lion clone without the lion on the helmet. And the Raiders wore black and gold with no logo instead of what the silver and black that they now wear. Yeah, we'll deal with it. I mean, it is what it is. We can't control everything. We can only do what EA Sports allows us to do. Got a viewer back, so that's good. Looking forward to seeing some of the, you know, legends back on the field. Dick Butkus, Dick, Gale Sayers for the Bears, Cookie Gilchrist for the Bills in the early 60s, O.J. Simpson later. Jack Kemp is with the Chargers in 1960, and a couple years later he comes to Buffalo. The Giants have Frank Gifford. They have the first-year quarterback is Charlie Connerly, and then Y.A. Tittle goes to New York in 61. Fran Tarkenton then goes to New York in the late 60s. Who else? The Broncos. The Broncos, they... not so much in the 60s. Yeah. They start getting some big names. Goose Gonsolin, he's there. You really have to know your football history to know who that is, though. But even some of our opponents, like the Colts, played the NFC West, so you're going to get to see the 49ers and their $1 million backfield of Hugh McElhenney and Y.A. Tittle and maybe John Brody, depending on who the computer starts. The Cardinals and John David Crow at one running back, and I can't think of the quarterback's name right now. Oh, Larry Wilson at safety. You can see some weird things too, like a cornerback wearing number 80. It was a different league, a different era. So after starting out 3 for 3, Johnny Green has gone 5-11. I am going to be starting Tommy O'Connell at quarterback. The Johnny Green experiment for this year was okay, but O'Connell was the veteran. I'm going to go with him. I may end up with Johnny Green in the long run. We'll probably never put Richie Lucas or Bob Broadhead on the field. That's just me. Obviously with Baltimore, I'm going to start Johnny Unitas. Can't wait to use him. Lenny Moore, Raymond Berry. I'm only going to control them for 5 years, though, because it's more of a guilty pleasure getting to play a video game with Johnny Unitas. But once the Falcons come in the league, I don't want to have two teams in the same conference. So, plus the Falcons are my number 2. Yeah. Well, I mean, the Broncos are the Broncos are bad. The Bills are bad. The Tennessee Titans, Houston Oilers should be pretty good. The Colts and Oilers are in the same division in modern times too, so that makes it, you know, extra special. We're gonna, for the first 6 seasons, we're gonna be playing each other twice a year. The Bills scored. Yep, we're not going to get shut out. Daryl Harper kicked the field goal. But as I told him earlier too, that this will be my last Custom Bowl playoff series. I got beat with the Falcons. I got destroyed by the Vikings. A little upset with myself because I got so mad at one point I disconnected my microphone. I was the game just didn't go my way. I thought I was going to play better, but I couldn't stop Randy Moss, and it didn't help that Tim McCarr was guarding him, not Deion Sanders. But it is what it is. I got over it. Yeah. The Packers have 222 yards to the Bills 46. And this is my ratings. Yeah, this is my ratings. It's not even the better, more realistic ratings that you will have given them. Of course, if we see this matchup, I'd actually be playing. Is when the Bills play the Colts in December, we'll be simulating that, and that one should be pretty brutal as well. Hopefully I got the Bills in position that it won't matter. Yeah, we are starting out on Pro, just to get us all in the feel of things, and the All-Pro this year in Madden 18 is much different than it was in previous Maddens. So we may go up, we may not, we'll discuss it. We got time. We got 59 seasons at this point, so there was a magic trick. Somebody just appeared behind the coach. Yeah. Yeah. I did hear... Yeah, it did seem that now playing on pro level when John and I did our test season where he was the 86 Giants and I was the 91 Bills. But both of those teams are loaded. So we only each lost one game, and there were some that we blowouts that probably wouldn't be on All Pro. But both those teams are loaded, and we're not going to have that, especially the Bills, the Broncos, the Giants, even to an extent the Bears in 60. You know, there'll be all 6 teams are going to go through their eras though where they're bad. And they're all going to go through their errors where they're fantastically good. So there's 35 seconds left in this fourth quarter. But we hope you... Go ahead. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us for the announcement. And we will look forward to seeing the Bears and Broncos in action starting next week. Take it easy. So make sure you get your search bars, Sack to the Future saved. Find the playlist once it's created. And I'll actually have this game be the very first game in the playlist, so that you can start finding it now and save the playlist to your favorites. And that is it. The Green Bay Packers win this simulated Super Bowl 27-3 over Buffalo. Buffalo's undefeated season comes to an end. Well, we'll see the Bills again. The same roster. Yeah, to name Paul Hornung the MVP. I hope you guys enjoy what's coming. Maybe it hopefully won't be as bad as this game was as far as competition goes, but we have 6 very diverse teams ranging all over the history of the NFL. You're going to see some great legends. I mean, you just think about, you get to see the entire careers of guys like Jim Kelly and John Elway, Eli Manning. You see majority of O.J. Simpson's career before he finished up in San Francisco. Atlanta. You get to see the beginnings of Deion Sanders the first few years, and Steve Bartkowski before he went on to the Rams at the end of his career. Yeah, Bart Starr was named MVP. And, you know, I disagree with that. I think it should have been Paul Hornung, but who am I? Plus, going forward, not just doing this constantly one season and bailing. It's always been Super Bowl 52. We'll get to see some... Hopefully I saved that from happening. I don't know why the PlayStation's going to go in rest mode. Well, this broadcast will be over by then anyway. So, tune in Friday night as I simulate the real Super Bowl between the Patriots and Eagles. And stay tuned for Sack to the Future coming to YouTube near you.